Hey guys, Nathan Brendan Masters. I'm back. Oh wow, I'm trying to get more content out, guys, but the reality is I'm working on a lot of projects. So you guys know we got Zombie Girl Ravenous that's being worked on. I have to finish lettering that. After that, I have to do the last Curse Risen Communion of the Fallen book. And as you guys know, that's the one I do in AI, and that has a whole new look now. It's like each storyline has its own actual look. It's crazy. So I'm actually almost done with that. I only have like 4 or 5 more pages to that. It's going to be the first campaign next year, so I'm just gonna hold off on that until then. What you see me drawing here is CurseRisen Ultimate Control, which is a remake of Hexcraft Mechanics Ultimate Control. And this is specifically going to focus on Serpina and Soulfire. It's still going to be a one-shot, but yeah, it's going to come out sometime next year as well. I'm also drawing a Dominique Dark comic book, which is also going to be a one shot, and that's another Bad Girl comic. So if you guys like Bad Girl comics, we got a lot of them coming. And I'm also adding pages to the Demonor comic. So I'm just going to do that whole, instead of doing it as a comic for each person, I'm just going to do it as one story and release it as one book. And those of you who've seen Demonor, you know that's a book I did that was completely ink wash. There's a book called Breeder that's being re-inked, and that's focusing on Rahab, who's one of the Sisterhood of Lilith breeders. Some of you may remember her from the original Hexcraft Mechanics Ultimate Control comic. So we're going to do her whole story as one book, and the Ultimate Control book is going to be again focusing on Serpina and Soulfire. This guy is one of their first victims, as you know from Communion of the Fallen. Serpina is going back and getting all the people who made deals with her, and she's going and collecting all those souls. And this guy is one of the first that she's collecting. And of course, she's going after the Talbane family because Nodus Talbane is the guy that trapped her in a bottle. And she was a spirit being, and now she has a human body. And she still has a lot of her powers and things. So, yeah, that's going to be a problem. So, this will probably come after Breeder, and then there's Curse Risen Unification. A lot of that art is already done. That's art that's comes from Hexcraft Mechanics, issues 1 and 2, Decoy, and some of those other books. And we're going to reshuffle that stuff and tell the stories a little bit differently just so we can introduce certain characters earlier, and then uh, they can spin off into their other books. Night Phoenix is going to pop up. Like I said, Decoy, he'll be popping up. Victor Lock, Demon Hunter, Zombie Girl. A lot of people are going to be in these unification books, and it's going to be a 3-issue limited series. And we still have to get the Blastback Core role playing game out. All that stuff is coming in 2024. Plus, there's going to be some other stuff dropping too if I have the time. So I'm going to try to integrate my art and stuff into the videos like you see me doing here. And hopefully that works out. Oh, Vampire Alliance. That may end up getting mixed in with the Curse Risen Unification books. That's going to be new art that, no, actually, it's art from a long time ago. Let's say that art's been completed for a long time, but it may end up being a backup story in the Curse Risen Unification book or something like that. Because now that Dracula is here and everything, it makes sense to talk about the Vampire Alliance. I might still do it as a different story or something, as its own separate book and add some pages to it and things. So we'll see how that goes. Right now, I'm thinking that might end up being thrown in with unification, but we'll see. And if you're wondering why this is kind of shaking, that's because I am drawing this on my folding desk. This is a desk that I can sit on my bed, and I could just draw. So I can go from my big desk where my Huion monitor tablet is, and I can go and draw, on paper. Old school style. I normally, when I'm drawing on paper, I'm doing it from the bed, and when I'm drawing digitally, I'm doing it from my desk. But If I wanted to draw digitally from my bed, I do have another Huion tablet, but it's just a pen tablet, and it's connected to my old 2012 MacBook Pro. So I have the big 15-inch screen on the MacBook Pro, and I can just do that as well. Or I could just go ahead and draw on my iPad. But I've never actually gotten used to drawing on an iPad. It's just recently that I'm kind of doing it, and I'm still not used to it. I know they're talking about coming out with a 16-inch iPad next year. I might get that, provided that I have, the money to do so. I might get that and start drawing on that and see where I go from there. Because that's that, especially now that you can put, you can put hard drives and stuff to it. I can just save everything on a hard drive. I mean, save everything on a SD card and just go from there to my laptop. So, I'm still running everything on the MacBook Air. So, and so far so good. I'm running everything on the M1 MacBook Air, still doing that, and it's all still working out. So hopefully everything will continue down this path, and we'll see where we can go. So I have different styles of drawing and inking depending on the type of project that I'm doing. This is the pen that I normally use for inking. It's the Deleter Dip pen with the Hunt 102 nib. I do also use pigment liners, but there's only two that I really like, and that's the Art Line and the Stettler. And if you've been around for a while, you know Stettler is famous for their technical pens. The ink from the pigment liner actually looks and feels a lot like the ink from their technical pens. So I think you'll appreciate that. I also use the Pentel Fude brush pen that everybody loves. You saw me using it just a few minutes ago. And I also use a Menso brush, but I didn't use it on this. Paper I'm using is my own specific brand of paper. It's a specific size. For me, it's smaller than the 11 by 17 paper that people normally use. And I also have a size that's smaller than this, which I'm actually doing my Dominique Dark book on. I work between digital and paper. Generally, something like the Dominique Dark book will probably all be on paper, but other books, stuff like the CurseRisen things, some stuff will be digital, some stuff will be on paper. If I'm drawing something that I think will be a nice image that I can sell, as a piece of original artwork, I'll probably draw it on paper. And for those who don't know, having that original art, it's one of the reasons I don't go completely digital. Now, I know there's some people who they'll do the whole book digitally, but do the cover on artboard. That's a way to have a nice amount of original art, but not have too much. So that's also a good idea for those of you who are doing art digitally. Just a way to make a little bit of extra money. Get yourself some 11 by 17 Bristol board and do your cover, and then you can do the rest however you want to do it. And you can sell that cover, but if you really want to get in there, get some of that Canson XL watercolor paper, cut it down to 11 by 17, and then do a whole painting as the cover. People love that. Or get you some of that cotton watercolor paper, the 100% cotton paper, and same thing, cut it down to 11. And it doesn't necessarily have to be 11 by 17, with some variant of that, yeah, but something that's a nice size that people will spend some money on. You make $200-300 off that if people really like what they see. So try it. Contrary to what some people will have you believe, starving is not the fun part of being an artist. So you got to work all these angles. And the secret to this art game is you don't have to be the best, but you got to give people what they want. There's a lot of people losing money because they're not giving people what they want, but they think they can tell the people what they have to buy. That's not how any of this works. You're creating the product and you have to tell the people why they should buy it. And the people have to agree that what you're selling is worth the money. But never go into it thinking that the money is owed to you. It is not. No one owes you anything. It's your choice to do art. You could do it as a hobby if you want. But if you're trying to do it for money, you got to give people what they want, or you have to be good enough to convince them that the thing you created is so popping that they have to have it. And that's the way you make money off of your art. Other than that, guys, you take it easy. This is the first page. I can't really show the other pages here on YouTube. They're a little bit spicy. Catch you next time, guys. Hasta.
A life we knew would come one day, and this is